if I could start things off, your show is Tommy Tiernan show. Every week, you have no idea who the guests are going to be. You have no prep, no heads up. And if I was to put you in that position now, where you came on and a host didn't know you, how would you introduce yourself?
Oh, how do I introduce myself? That's a great question. Oh, Jesus. See, anytime you define yourself, you always feel as if it's too limited a notion. Oh, God. A very talented teenage pool player. That's how I would describe myself.
And am I right in saying this, that you are actually colourblind?
Yes, I am, yeah.
So does that affect the play?
It does, yeah. So there'll be times, one of my kind of insecurities is mistaking the brown for one of the reds. So that's the spectrum that I'm on. So my wife actually bought me, it's not these glasses now, but you can get these glasses that for colorblind people that fix all the colors in the world. And there's videos of them online of these guys on the veranda of some house in Wisconsin or something. And the whole family gathers around and he's colorblind and he gets the glasses and he starts, it's so emotional that he can see all these colors. So my wife bought me a pair of them, you know, thinking it was going to change. It just made everything green. Everything was just green. So, but I am colorblind. I'm also tone deaf and I have flat feet.
Wow. What the triple threat there.
Yeah, I mean, I probably should have gone to a special needs school, but they decided to send me to St. Pat's in Navan anyway.
Because my thinking there is like, how do you know when to put out the green bin? That's what I always wonder with people that are colourblind. How do you know what bin goes out that week?
I don't actually. Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, we have 2 brown bins. So I leave both of them out. So whichever one is empty is grand with me.
So just get back, I've really been enjoying the podcast and I've just been wondering, how have you been coping in lockdown? You've been finding it. Did the podcast come from was it born from a place of wanting to stay creative during lockdown, or is it something you always wanted to do?
No, it was all of us end up doing jobs, I suppose, that how do you describe this now? That maybe we're very responsible, and maybe we're kind of just copping on, and like my father's attitude to work was, it doesn't matter what it is, just go out and get enough money to pay your bills, you know. But I must have been watching something on telly where some guy was reminiscing about his life, and he said that he had a lot of fun, that he didn't care how successful he was, or just had a lot of fun. And that really struck a chord with me. And I was wondering, how much of my life can I look back on and say, that was awful crack, you know? And there wasn't a fierce amount. Now, I've done stuff that's successful, but success isn't the same as crack, you know? And I said, okay, well, let's try and do something that's just pure fun. And the thing that came into my head immediately was working with Hector and Larita. I just have such a laugh with them. Like, Hector makes me laugh in a way that hasn't happened since I was in secondary school. So I phoned to pair them up, and they both said yeah. So that was it.
And I know you mentioned on the podcast that you couldn't cut your hair because you're going back to filming Derry Girls again. Oh, look at it there now. It's growing. Is there a date set for
what? For the haircut?
For returning to filming. Is there a date yet set? Or
no, for Derry Girls, no. There's nothing. So I hate it. It's just, I don't hate it. It's just very 70s. Very agricultural advisor Nav in the 1950s.
Well, I think you're onto. Yeah, I know you said Bill Murray is a bit of a hair hero now. I think that's a good look. Absolutely.
You're the first person to say that to me now.
With Derry Girl, I've always wondered, was it your own choice to not do a Derry accent, or would you ever consider doing the Derry accent?
I suggest, see, on the read through, I would have done loads and loads of gigs up north, you know, and Northern Republicans do have a kind of thing towards Southerners, that the Southerners kind of let them down, you know, that the Southerners abandoned them. And I did a read through of the script, and so the when I saw that the granddad hates the dad, I just said to Lisa, look, I said, if the dad was from the south, it would add an extra level there. And she said, absolutely, let's give it a go. And then I tried. Now my Derry accent is very similar to my Pakistani accent, so I guess they decided for continuity purposes that they'd keep me Southern Irish.
So speaking of Derry and places in Ireland, we're kind of encouraged now with COVID to staycation and traveling in Ireland. Navan, is that a place you would recommend as a staycation location, or how would you sell someone to travel and visit Navan now in Ireland?
Well, I love going back to the town. I mean, I wouldn't get out of the car or anything, but I do like.
Right, true, is alright.
I've been doing a lot of driving from Galway up to Belfast, you know, and I always make a point of driving through Navan and kind of driving down as many different streets as I can and looping back with myself and calling into the Valley Cafe and getting a bag of chips and then driving the car up to the car park outside St. Oliver Plunkett's church and eating the chips there, and then driving through Clusker Park and Blackcastle and out to Slane Road. So how would I sell Navan? You couldn't buy it.
You wouldn't want it.
Sell it. You couldn't buy it. You wouldn't want it.
Actually, Hector said he prefers the chips out of SEO's Valley Cafe all the way.
SEO's. I wouldn't even go in there for directions. I'd mind chips.
So since lockdown has kind of happened and COVID, we've seen the arts industry and comedians in particular affected. I know yourself, you've had to reschedule a lot of gigs, and how has it affected yourself, or how do you feel it's going to affect the future of comedy or the arts industry?
I don't know. I mean, I signed a letter today asking for some that came from the entertainment industry, people just asking for governmental help, because the amount of people, they said, you know, the entertainment sector was the first one to go and it'll be the last one back. And you have, they said, the guts of 35,000 people who have no way of earning any money. And not only do they not have a way of earning money, but the work that they do provides billions for people in other industries. So the hospitality sector mainly, you know. So I don't know what's going to happen. I do know that I've kind of come out of it in the last week, but I've found the last 5 or 6 weeks incredibly difficult. And I just noticed in myself that I'm not getting physically what I need. And I was trying to identify, what is it? First of all, I've noticed I was in a bad mood and my energy levels went through the floor. I just had there's no buzz in me at all. And I was trying, what the hell is happening here? Because I'd meet somebody and while I'm talking to them, the energy be up. And as soon as they go, oh man, I'd be on the floor again, you know? So I did about 5 weeks of that, and it's not to be recommended, and it's hard country. And I think what I missed is the stimulation of other people. You know, the stimulation of encountering other energies. So I found it very difficult, really. But the past week has been good.
And how do you think there's a way the comedians can adapt? Like, there's a lot of people doing online gigs and performances. Do you feel that can ever really fully replicate doing a live stand-up show? Or do you think that's going to be the future for a lot of gigs?
I'd have no interest in doing that. I'd be more interested now in going down to the main road and shouting at trucks. I'd rather do that than do an online gig.
It's a live, real audience there. Like.
I'd stand outside the primary school. Arseholes! You're all arseholes! I'd prefer that than do an online gig.
So
I don't know, really.
I know from reading Steve Martin's book, Born Standing Up, he talks a lot about at times in his career where he felt people were coming to see him more than the set. It didn't matter about the set, they just wanted to see him. And is that something that you've kind of experienced, or in a way that leaning into more doing interviews or podcasts allows you to still be out there in a different way? Or what do you get different from doing that to doing stand-up?
Well, the thing with Steve Martin was he noticed that he was doing shows at one stage in his career, like to 25,000 people. He was playing like football stadiums. And people were so familiar with his material that they were joining in the punchlines and in the setups. And so he'd been earning millions, but that danger, the tension of going on stage and the release when people laugh, that was gone from his live work. So I can see how he'd get bored with that. For me, it's just, it's always looking for that buzz. Like, where's the buzz? And stand-up is just, it seems right now, it seems to be relegated to some distant parish that I can't even imagine being there, so the buzz now is, and it's very different because, so the way I'm talking to you is that, so I'd get a thrill out of making you laugh, okay? And then, so that's a kind of a performance of sorts, and then when I'm talking to Hector, what I've noticed with Hector is that I'm almost a submissive one. So he does most of the talking. Have you noticed that? Like, he's the alpha male in that relationship. So, and the fact that the relationship is like that, it gives him confidence, Yeah. So it's all about the way the person is in front of different audiences, in front of a stand-up audience now, I'd be very alpha and big and strong and claiming the space. In terms of in the interview show, that's just another, I wouldn't say that's submissive, but sometimes I like, at the end of series 3, I nearly became a priest, when I was 18. I came to the end of series 3. I said, I'm going to have to change my approach here because there's a kind of a Father Tiernan vibe coming off me. It was just a little bit too sincere and a little bit maintaining the meaningful eye contact. And I said, oh, geez, I better loosen up here a little bit now. But it's all different, and it's all looking for... I write stuff as well, and I get a buzz out of making myself laugh with stuff that I write. And but it's all different audiences, and I think it's all about looking for connection and freedom and adrenaline.
So this week, Leaving Cert's got the results and CAO offers came out today. So just wondering, do you remember the day you got your Leaving Cert results, how you felt or what you wanted to do? Or give any advice, for Leaving Cert's getting the results this week?
Yeah, well, my advice would be, say, for girls would be to get pregnant. I think that if you didn't get what you wanted, you could always have a baby. I think that option is still available for women, and I'd love to have a baby. And I think for fellas, I know I don't. I only said that to be facetious. I had no interest in school, and so I'm not very. None of my kids are particularly academic. They're not. Hey! They're not thick now.
There's a difference.
They wouldn't be fiercely interested in school. I have 6 children altogether. Maybe the young ones are a bit buzzed up that way, but the older ones, and they all got amazing leaving certs, but they're just not not academic people. I'd have no real interest. I don't really like going to parent teacher meetings because I'm not invested in the process. I'm kind of, I like to hear that my kids are getting on well socially. I like that they're participating in sport. I like that they're having a laugh when they're in school. I love picking up my kids from school. I have a daughter in secondary school in Galway, and I love waiting for her outside the gates, and she's laughing. If they're laughing coming out of school, I just think that's all you can hope for, really, isn't it? So one of my daughters got her leaving cert results during the week and is very happy and applied for a course and she's got it. So yeah, but I'm not, that wouldn't be one of my strong points now. Advising my kids on the leaving cert and what to do in school. I hate being, Jesus, it drives me demented. I have one of my sons is in 2nd class, and another one of my sons is in 6th class. This helping them with their homework shit. No, I just don't do that. Find your mother. I am not getting involved with it.
How do you do this? For that.
I don't care. I didn't. I've done. It's like going to prison and then some dwarf coming up to you and asking you, "Will you help me go through prison?" No, I won't. No. So I don't do homework with them. You know, Tom Waits, the musician. He was on a chat show in America, and the chat show host asked him. He said, "How are the kids?" And he says, it is a great gruff voice. One of my sons is older than I am." And then he goes, "I'm not allowed to help my children with their homework anymore. Not allowed." The host goes, "Why not?" Because they came back from school one day and they said I had made up a war. So,
oh God.
I think that's very exciting to be, to get involved with your kids' homework, but to tell lies, just to get them into trouble. Be great.
Oh God. Speaking of wars and rivalries, I know you're a big Liverpool supporter yourself, and Hector is a big United supporter. Are there any rivalries there during recording, or how do you feel Liverpool are looking this season? Do you think they peaked last season?
I tell you what, he was awful cocky there for about 20 years.
He told me that. He said you weren't too cocky. You didn't brag too much about it.
No, I didn't, because but he was awful. I remember, all from about 1993 to 2012, he'd chest me out. He'd be doing the nav and walk. You know what I mean? Be so proud of United. I'm involved with my local GAA team here, and I get more enjoyment out of that. So I've started coaching the under 12s, and I'm just waiting on the Garda clearance to come through. So I really, really enjoy that, and I get more of a buzz out of going to. I spent years going over to Anfield, but I realised I enjoy going to local GAA matches more.
What's your advice to the kids? Do you shout at them when they're playing? Is there any,
Yeah, I'm not. So we got this other coach in yesterday who was trying to get us to stop shouting. I'd be fairly shouty. I think it goes back to the shouting at trucks and not having any shows at the moment.
Doing stand up for the kids.
Yeah, it's kind of like a performance. It is, So, but the coach said a great thing. He said, "What you want to introduce in order to get in my mind, okay, we all want the kids to express themselves, and we all love imaginative football. And he says the way you create that is by creating chaos in the training sessions. So what you tell them all to get a bib. You don't say half you yellow, half you red. Just all get a bib, and then you throw the ball into them. You don't tell them the rules of the game or what they're supposed to do, and you just start, and they have no clue. So what they're doing is that helps them cope with chaos, and that helps them come up with their own kind of way of expressing themselves and trying to solve the puzzle of what the coach wants. So that stuff is fascinating to me.
Hector said you were big into the football cones. Said you were mad for them, putting them out for the kids.
He's mad for cones.
99.
He's mad for all that. He's mad for all that. But the parish that Hector's connected with do very well underage. Very well. Now, it hasn't translated to senior. I'll say that to you. But I'm with the under 12s, and I've made it. This is a long-term commitment now. I'm going to follow this team through till junior C, till they're all in their mid-50s, hernias and shattered kneecaps. I'm in this. I'm hoping to get them. We want to contend for the South Galway Junior C Championship in 2041. That's my ambition.
Yeah.
I don't care who knows it.
And so finally, on your show, and I know you do the jingle in the podcast, and often on your show you'll ask your guests to give us a bit of a tune or a song. Is there anything you could give us a bit of a rhyme or a tune for a song just to...
Sure. I've one in Irish for you now that's quite serious, but I'll throw it out to you just in case. It's called Fuisha Viautsa, and you don't have to really understand it. It's by a poet from the Aran Islands called Marcin Diron, and it goes something like this. Fuisha Viautsa, Shall bug garad the mask muglina Ilon Mara Egshul Kush Clada Modernist Tranona Olun Gasahran Hirig Balye. Fuisha Viautsa, Shall bug garad I mask muglina O Cray Crua O Uignus Durk O Wurch Agna O Kainch Rontoch Hier Egbalje. And that's it. So that's a poem about a fella who wants to be walking along a beach in the west of Ireland amongst people he can call friends. So that's.
And that would be the chant for the under-12s now when you win the championship.
Fuisha Viautsa! Fuisha Viautsa! Fuisha Viautsa!
Tommy, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and the best of luck with the rest of the podcast. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Justine. Thank you.